time to get started with the session. I'm going to bring up the slides for this live session, all about setting up that effective artist website. Before we get going, just some brief information or background of my story. My name is Sonja here. I'm originally from Cape Town, South Africa, but live in the Netherlands, and you're most welcome to this live session all about artist websites. I'm an artist, so I've been drawing as long as I can remember, been painting, went to the art academy, learned how to paint and draw, had no idea in those days how I was going to sell it. The internet wasn't even there. We had to find other ways. And I've now sort of done lots of research, spoke to many artists of how they are promoting, selling their art, what works, what doesn't work, and that I've put into resources. I'm a coach. I have a course and I'm a podcaster. So that's me in a nutshell. Passionate about art because I believe art is important. Artists play such a crucial role in our world, just to make it beautiful, to have those conversations. We don't all have to agree with one another, but it's good to have conversations with one another. And isn't art just such a beautiful form to do that and to make the world just more interesting in all shapes and sizes? So it's important that artists succeed, because money and the lack of it is usually reason number one artists are not reaching their goals, are not being able to make their art, because they have other jobs, they have other commitments, because they haven't freed themselves up to make their art. And I know it's possible. I've coached many artists through the years, and I've just seen setting up those structures really helps to create a steady revenue stream. It is possible. Just need to know how. And that's what my courses, my programs, my resources are all about. So please head over to my website, sonjasmallhere.com, if you haven't done so before. There are resources, there are the replays of the podcast, there are downloads for you, because once again, I just am totally passionate to see artists succeed. It's so important that you can make your art and earn a revenue, and being able to sustain yourself not only for a season, but for a lifetime. My yearly course goes live every year, spring, the European spring, and we have now nearly come to the end of this 12-week course. Seen amazing transformation in the artists, just taking steps, having aha moments, really being challenged to start to communicate their art more effectively, using images, using words, using their websites, using their social media, building an expert status, getting better at public speaking, all those things you can use. That's not just your art, it's everything around it. So that's the Working Artist course. We have a wait list if you want to join and want to find out how to prepare until the doors open again next year. Then please join the wait list. You can then stay informed about the latest things. Heidi, hi, and Anita's in the house. Good that you are here. Thank you for joining. We are in the middle of the artist website month, the month of May. I've been spring cleaning. Actually, I've been tidying up my house. As many of you know, we are in the process of immigrating to beautiful and sunny South Africa. We have sold our house. Yay! And we are in the process of transformation. So it's like a spring clean, but total transformation clean. So we've been getting rid of things, organizing things. And usually the month of May here in Northern Europe, it's the spring. We are spring cleaning, seeing what we need, what works, what doesn't work. And that's the same could be for your business. And your artist website is a crucial part of that business, as we're going to be looking at. And that's why the month of May, before the summer starts or your spring, autumn starts, to get it in order. And there's those small little tweaks that you can make on your artist website that can make a huge difference. So hopefully the session is going to inspire you, and that you can get some focus, and you can get some just so that you can work intentionally to transform that website into a place where you can have conversation and connection with potential buyers and with collectors. So before we get started, I'd love to know the people that are in the session. And also, if you're in the replay, please feel free to use that comment area. There are 3 statuses of artist websites. Maybe you have no website. That's also totally possible. I know artists that are just using social media, especially when you're starting out. or maybe in the process of setting up an artist website, thinking about it. What do I need to add? What do I need to not add? Maybe that's you. Maybe you have a website, but it's totally not effective. You're not getting the traffic. You're not getting the connection with the right kind of audience. You're seeing no sales on your website. Maybe that's you. Or maybe you have a super effective website. Everything is working and you are reaching your goals. If that's you, love to talk to you, and you are free to join one of the sessions as my guest to share what you're doing, because we can all learn from you. So please put in the comment area whether you're 1 or 2 or 3. So then we know who's in the house. Hey, I see Tina. Welcome to the session. Put in the comment area, please, if you are thinking of setting up an artist website, you have no website, you have a website, but it's not really functioning. It could be more effective. Maybe you have an effective website. So 1, 2, or 3. Then add that to the comments. Heidi says 1, so you're still in the process of setting up your artist website. Well, and hopefully these sessions are going to be inspiring to see what you can do and how you can do it. And 3, Dita says, I hope. Good, that's good that you've really worked on your artist website. Uta, hi Uta, good that you're here. Rebecca, good, great that you could join the session. Is a 2, so there's room for growth and you want to become more effective. Heidi's using a Facebook page, Insta account, and is working on her website. And that is a totally legit path as you start developing and growing in your communication. So please use that comment area to interact and tell us all about your artist website. If you are ready and you have a website that you want to share, please also add your URL so we can have a look. But we're talking about an effective artist website, and you can only know if your artist website is effective if you know what you actually want to achieve with your website. So that is, you can say it's effective, but you need to have some kind of objective. You need to have some kind of goal for your website, because then you can start measuring. If you just want, if it's a sales portal, are you getting the traffic? Are you making the sales? The proof is in the pudding. The numbers will tell you whether it's effective. Maybe you're getting totally the wrong people on your website. Your analytics tell you that it's not your art audience that resonates with your genre or the kind of art you're making. Or maybe you have a portfolio page because you want to license out your art, or you want to work on commissions, and maybe you're not getting the right kind of people. So then once you know your goal, it's easier to make that sum up to see if it's effective. At the end of this session, I'm going to be sharing with you my artist website checklist. I've made a checklist for you to download so that you can go through your artist website and give it a health check. It's like the APK here in the Netherlands. It's for your car, or a general checkup for your health. This is a health checkup for your artist website, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end of the session. So what is the goal of your website? Do you have that clear in your mind? And you can have a main goal, and there also could be some sub goals. But especially when you're just starting out, you want to keep things really simple and streamlined, because you are all at different parts in your journey. Some of you are starting, so you're just turning your passion, your creativity into more of a profession, more of a revenue stream, more business structure around it. Maybe you're emerging, that you have that body of work and you're starting to emerge, share in a greater way. Or maybe you're more experienced and you've been at it forever and you want to grow. You want to really establish yourself, maybe nationally, internationally, with new public, have collectors join and start collecting your work, not just one-off sales. So everyone is at a different part in their journey. Your goal will vary depending on what your goal is, where you are, depending where you are in that artist journey. So that's totally okay. And I see many artists, I coach a lot of artists, and especially in this area where you think, well, I'm an artist, I want to be an artist, I've just finished art school, I'm taking a course, and I need this fully fledged website. You don't have to. You need to achieve your purpose, your goals. So have a clear assessment of where you are and what is it that you want to achieve. And your website will serve that purpose. Well, it should, otherwise it's a waste of your energy and your time. What can keep you from that effective website? I've just written a few things down because I just see that with many people that are, wanting to start this artist website, wanting to communicate in a greater way, and the fact that they want to do it so perfectly, they want to have all the ducks in a row, they want everything, just the right images, just the right words, just the right everything, and they make it so complicated that they never get started. And if that's you, I can just tell you, start, because the sooner you get started, the more you can start seeing what works and what doesn't work. Because especially, when you're starting, you have to find your public, you're finding your style, you're finding your how you want to communicate, you're developing your brand style, and that comes through time. You see what works, what doesn't work, you'll see your analytics, you'll see what's effective, what's not effective, and by wanting to have everything just right, it's going to keep you from making those first steps. And once again, you can keep it super simple. It doesn't have to be really complicated. It can be a simple page, a home page with details, and then what you have there represents your art in the best possible way. So if that's you, perfectionism out the door, start putting things down and getting your communication out there. And then having no clear plan. So once again, the pressure, everyone has a website. We should all have a website. Isn't that true, Sonja? But there's no plan. You don't have a clear objective of what you actually want with the website and how that relates to your art business and how does that all fit in, because your business is not just your website. You can use your social channels to bring people onto your website. You can, get the right kind of people through the organic search or through the SEO. Who are you going to be sharing that URL with? So having that clear plan is the starting point so that you can start accommodating and arranging, composing your websites accordingly. And then fear. I mean, isn't it just our biggest enemy? Just fear that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not tech savvy. I'm not that clued up. I didn't do a study in design. So where should I be starting? And all these things can paralyze and overwhelm to not get that website up and running or not make it effective. So you just stick it in, a template, and you think, well, I'm out there, at least I've got a website. But your website should really represent you in the best possible way. It should communicate what you want to say. Otherwise, people are going to be filling in the blanks, and it may not be what you want to communicate. So it's good to have clear plan and also not have that fear that you don't know what you're doing. Ask people around you. Download that checklist I'm going to be sharing because it really will give you a framework. And there are many resources out there, either with the platform that you're using. Be informed and don't let that overwhelm keep you. Having an effective website doesn't just happen. It's not just like, okay, now I have something, I've done, I've got a template, I'm just putting something on there. Having an effective website takes careful thought and planning. Your website should serve you. It's something that should be working for you, and it should serve your visitor. So it should give them the best possible experience of you and your art. It should represent your art in the best possible way. Think of the gallery experience. If that is the goal of your website, you want to introduce people to your work, is it at a level, can you share it in such a way that people really experience your art in the best possible way? And that your website should do the heavy lifting, because you can, communicate all kinds of things on social media. But if you want to sell your work, do you have that shop arranged in such a way that it's working for you, that the words that you're using, the images that you're using, the navigation, that's what we're going to be looking at and zooming in today, is that doing the heavy lifting for you? Because it's a powerful platform that you can use. It can work against you, but it can work for you. And it should be a vital part of your business. I think we just saw in these last few months, actually, that with the whole lockdown, we were so reliant on the social spaces and on the online platforms. And that I think more than ever, I think this is the trend in the future, is that it'll be the online and the offline, because we will be going outside, and fortunately things are opening up for many of us. It'll be a combination of relationship between the online life and the offline communication, and that will come together. So bringing people from an offline event, an opening, a gallery experience, or maybe an event at your home, or where people have experienced your art in person, and then inviting them and then continuing that conversation on your website. So better, more important than ever before. So what are your biggest challenges when it comes to your artist website? Just briefly write that in the comments. You can just use 1 or 2 words, whether it's the technology, it's because images, it's because of the time. What is your biggest challenge at this moment? Maybe you have a full-fledged website and you're thinking, I need traffic, I need content. Please use that comment area, and welcome to everyone that has joined this session that I haven't said hi to. I see sisters here. Wonderful that you could join again. Let me know in the comments, what is your biggest challenge at this moment with your artist website? And maybe it's the fact that you don't have one, or you don't know where to start. Please let me know. Let me know. I see Jan here. SEO. And for those that are new to the online space, SEO is search engine optimization. So that's actually like the Google is our biggest search engine. And we use that search engine. Those little robots are looking and are gathering and archiving information, getting traffic onto your website. So when people are Googling, so I know, for example, Jan is in Almere, which is a town not too far from here, and people look for local artist Almere, is Jan coming up as the #1 artist right there in the first 10 search options in the Google. And that's a whole science in itself. We will talk about that next week, because then we're going to be looking at how people can find you getting traffic onto your website. But that is a huge traffic. Sister says too, she needs traffic. Katarina says traffic. So next week, guys, we're going to be talking about traffic. How can you get people onto your website? Because it's one thing it's making it. It's a totally different thing getting people to actually engage with your content. So next week, Rebecca traffic. So please join next week. Let's see. Hi, Anya. Good to have you in the session. Fearful, indecisive, how to present myself, my branding. Yeah, totally can be a block, because there's just so much possible. That also takes time. It's a process of getting everything clear. What is it that you want to communicate? Yet again, it shouldn't be a hurdle. It should be something, just get it out there as quickly as possible, and then see what works and what doesn't work. Let's see. Tanya. Hi, Tanya. It's difficult to make a good About Me page that I like, plus traffic as well. So that About Me page, we spoke about it last week. Important to share your story, and hopefully you've seen the session. Tanya, please go back if you haven't. What it constitutes a good About Me page, and getting traffic next week. We're going to be looking at that. Time limitations, Heidi. I know you're a busy lady and you have to juggle many things. Yes, just getting the time to do it, and allocating a block of time that you're going to sit and going to work through what is it that you want and how you're going to be achieving that on your website. Okay, so different challenges. There's always your website is something that's in the make. It's something that's dynamic. It's something that you should get started with, and you'll see what we're working. But let's go back to the goal of your website. That's where it all starts, because you want to bring people where you want them to go. That's the whole idea, and that you can start on paper. That technology can really keep you from wanting to get going. And we all, most of us are visual artists, so we know pen and paper. So good to just start on paper and write down your goals and maybe some sub-goals. What is it that you want to achieve? What do you need your visitors to need to know? And what do they need to understand about you or about why you're there, to make your art website effective? So always look through the eyes of your visitor. What do they need to know about you, about your art, about your shop? If you're going to have a shopping website, you have your web shop there. What is it they need to know to get them to that shop, to engage with your art, to make that sale? So put down your goals on paper and what they need to know, because there are many, many possibilities. You can, add so many pages to your website. And I see sometimes artists, I've looked at many artist websites, reviewed many of them, and sometimes they have 10 to 15 tabs. And I don't know about you, but when, for example, you go to the supermarket to get that box of cereal, you get to that cereal aisle and there are just so many choices. So many choices that you can choose from that you simply don't know where to start and you don't know what to choose. And that's the same with your artist website. If you have too many choices on there, too many buttons, too many navigation places, people won't choose, because if you don't choose, you lose. So how can you start simplifying your information so that people don't leave because they're confused? Because our mind doesn't like being confused. We want clarity. And the more clear you are, the better. Because if you're not choosing, you're not curating, making those intentional choices, someone else will choose. They will choose to leave. But that's not what you want, of course. You want them to stay on your website as long as possible and have a pleasurable experience of you and of your art. So start really simple, especially when you are a starter and an emerging artist. You don't need a lot of tabs. That's all about getting clear about what your goal is. You don't have to add everything you've ever done on your website. Curate, because the cleaner and more streamlined it is, the chances are far greater that people are going to go where you want them to go, because they're not going to get lost. So whether you're the starter, emerging, or experienced artist, get really clear about where you want to go and what is it that you want to say. 3 to 5 tabs max. So if you look at the header of your website, that's that space at the top of the website. That is the starting point. When they get to your website, that's what they're going to be seeing first of all. And usually there's the logo, maybe a tagline, and then your navigation. And there's different forms, shapes, and sizes. Also depending whether you're on a mobile device or whether you're on a desktop, whether it's collapsible or not. My advice to you is break down or bring pages together so that you have 3 to 5, especially when you're just starting out. And don't put in subcategories, because then I see people with 10 possibilities and then a whole bunch of subcategories. It's simply too much. People don't know where to go. Join those pages. Can you join those pages and curate that content so that it's more streamlined? If you make your home page, design your home page, you actually don't need a navigation in your header. It's good that people know because you're going from page to page, but your home page is actually your navigation. You can add images, you can add words, you can add a logo, you can add thumbnail, little illustrations, buttons with colors. These are all little points and tools that you can use to bring people where you want them to go. So instead of having all of the details in the top of your navigation, sprinkle them through your home page. Bring people in a visual way, clicking on an image or a button. People love clicking on buttons, and then take them to where you want them to go, using your home page as your menu, not necessarily everything in your header where there's too many options. And then keep it relevant. That goes without saying, and make it a logical flow. Once you've set up on paper, make sure it's logical, that there's a sort of a logical flow in the information. And then if you have it already on maybe a test site, have some people that go through your website and just see, is it making sense? And that there are no loose ends, open ends. I'll tell a little bit more about that. Make a flow chart. So you get out your piece of paper again and you say, okay, my goal of my website is to share my latest work. It's a gallery. I don't have a shop on there yet. I have a gallery, and then I have a button that people can contact me to know about the sales. Or maybe you have an external site, a third-party platform that's doing the selling for you, or a gallery. So then what you need is a landing page. When people type in your URL, where do they land? That's what's called a landing page. And that's usually like the home page. That's where people land when they are filling in your URL. That is your menu. That's the front sort of door and the hallway where you're going to take people where they need to go. What is that going to be looking like? That's where we start. And then you have page 1, page 2, and page 3. If you're starting out, you can have an About Me page a portfolio page where they can view your art, and that's systematically arranged in such a way that it's logical, and a contact page. That's more than enough if you're just starting out, if your objective is to connect and to share your latest works. Of course, there'll be an additional page if you have a shop. People are going to a shop page. But this is all you can do on paper with little thumbnails and with little sticky notes so that you can get a logical flow. Having a well-structured website creates the algorithm. So within Google, which we'll talk more about next week, tells Google that this is an organized website. There's a logic to it. And that's what these robots are looking for. When there's a logical order in things, that it's a coherent story, then you get ranked far higher in the Google, which you want, especially if you're wanting to go for that organic search. And it's user friendly. You're really serving your visitor in the best possible way. You're keeping them there for as long as possible, which is super important because you want them to engage with your artwork and really experience it. You don't want them to get distracted or move on to the next. And that they're finding what they're looking for. And maybe they don't know that yet. They come onto your website, they've seen your art, they've been at an opening gallery or online, they see, whoa, love this work. They get onto your website, they don't quite know what they're looking for, but you know, and you're going to take them where they need to go. That has all to do with how you're going to arrange your content. And then super important, make it mobile friendly. Research shows that most of our interaction nowadays on websites is through the mobile function. So make sure that it's compatible to desktops, to laptops, to iPads, to tablets, and to definitely to your mobile. Because I've seen many artist websites beautiful on the desktop, but when you go to your mobile, there's no navigation, or the buttons don't work, or people can't, you can't find the content. So definitely have a look at that, the mobile friendly option, whether you do it yourself or you're using a designer. Make sure that that's all friendly. And what I suggest is that you can, if you're starting to design your pages, is just to take 2 A4 or legal size, depending where you are in the world, and just stick them together. So that was a page, you just see, depending on your screen, that's what you're seeing. But it's actually a long scrollable page that you're scrolling. So just stick 2 pieces together and you can start like you're composing a painting or a piece of art. You can draw, like this is my header, this is my above the fold. I spoke about that last week. The fold is an important place on a website. That's everything before you start scrolling. So whether that's the mobile setting or whether that's the horizontal desktop setting, the fold comes from the newspaper industry. Everything above there is the most important information. This should be your prime showing place of showing your latest works, telling people who you are and what you're doing and why you're doing things, and then everything below the fold. So you can already start arranging all your information on paper. Before you even hire a designer, you are designers because you are making art. Put it on paper and then make sure you really think about it, because that is your win. The more you're doing on the front end before you start spending money or time, the better, because you're going to really see, once you've planned, you have clear goals, it'll start translating and it'll be far more effective. So what can you use as navigation tools? So navigation, it's getting people where you want them to go. And we talked about the header. Usually in the header, there's the logo, there's a menu, and there can be a bigger button that is a call to action button, which is a brighter button with some bright color. And that is usually a focus button of a latest work or something special that you have. You can take people to that button. So you can use your menu, your buttons, your branding elements. And branding is all about getting your identity, building a brand around. That's what we focus on a lot in the course, getting a clear brand around your art. And maybe it sounds a little bit non-artistic, but it's super important to have people recognize your brand. And that could be through your coloring, through the typography that you're using, through the word choices, through the flow of information. This all adds to your branding. Illustrations, people start recognizing you and your style. So it's coherent on your newsletter, on your social channels, on your website. So it's all forming one communication stream. That's going to help people understand your content and get where they need to be. Of course, using those images just in the right place. Usually, if we're talking a desktop, horizontal, you can work in blocks. That will help just to segment your information so that you can have a different background, or use an image that is a total spread across your whole page, so that people can, because we're thinking, we can't, with not having too many choices, we're thinking in 2s and 3s. That's what we can handle. So just segmenting things in not too much clutter, not too many words, because people aren't reading, people are scanning. So if they just would be scanning through your website, do they get enough information to bring them where they need to be? Using white space, this is something like, how can I use white space? You don't have to fill every centimeter of your website. Having that rest is like talking. If I would just talk all the time and never take a breath and just go on and on and on and on, it'll be totally exhausting. And it's the same with your website. You can take a breath. You can use the rhythm of having white space, or having segments on your website that aren't cluttered or full with information, just to give people that peace and that rest. So you can add that to articulate or to bring emphasis to something. You can use bullet points or illustrations and headers. I've got some examples here of different artists that have used various tools to navigate around their website. So here we see, not quite sure if you're seeing my moving mouse, but here on the top on the left, we have a simple menu. So 3 choices. So I bet you people will choose here, because if there were 10 here, people wouldn't have no idea where to go. Logo in the middle, and then here, that bright button. Buttons in a different color, maybe with a capital font that really emphasizes, and it's clickable. You'll be able to take from where you want them to go. Icons really usually work very well, because it's something that's symbolic, and we're used to icons in our culture, and to really bring people to certain things. People identify if they're relevant icons. You can break down the information, especially on your home page, and then have buttons that people can click on using blocks of color, background color, and then text, fonts. I'm not sure if you're seeing my mouse. Let me just see if you can see my mouse. No, I don't think you can see my mouse. But there's the opt-in form that you could use, which is a pop-up, either, people opting in to join your newsletter, behind the scenes stories, or getting something from you to join your email list. That's also a navigation thing that you're bringing them. Maybe that's the goal of your website. You're building up an email list of potential art buyers. Having a pop-up is a navigation tool, or in a little illustration, that's something in your branding, images, colors. So these are all elements. So go and have a look at artists' websites and see what works, and what is your style, what is your flavor, what adds to your story. Just remember, keep it simple. Make a mood board, put everything down on paper. You can do that without even, just say, will take you time and looking and being really intentional about the information. So maybe you're wondering, where are people landing? So you have a website, where are people going? Because you might think that people are going where you want them to go, but sometimes you'll be quite surprised. And there's something called heat mapping your website. I don't know if anyone has heat mapped their website. Yes or no? Just let me know. Has someone heat mapped their website? I'll be sharing a little bit what that is in a second. If you have, then you know what it is. If you don't, that's totally fine. Has anyone heat mapped their websites? Yes or no? Love to know. Anyone heat mapped? That doesn't mean you're putting your blow dryer against your screen to get it hot. No. Ditto, lots of question marks. Not a problem. No. Rebecca says no. Assisa says no. This is a really handy tool, guys, to consider, to have software, and most internet software platforms that you're using offer a possibility to heat map. So it's actually a piece of software coding that you put behind your pages, and you can put them on all your pages or just your home page, and you can actually see where people are clicking. And the warmer the color, the more people are clicking on that space. So it'll give you a good representation of how people are moving and where your mouse, where people are clicking, where people are staying long, what people are reading the most, what paintings getting the most attention. So you get a good idea of, you get a map of your artist website. And there's different software possibilities, like Lucky Orange, which is a good one, and Crazy Egg is a very popular one. You can have a free trial, so you can fill in your URL and have your website mapped. But please be aware, just read their terms and conditions, because sometimes they're very sneaky, and then you're stuck with a subscription for a year. So make sure that's a monthly subscription, and if it's worth that $10 or 10 euros that you can have a month, and just go have your website heat mapped, and they can send you a report of all the back end traffic that's coming to your website, and then you can make your changes. So this really helps, gives you a good assessment of how your website is working. So that's just a tip for you. I mentioned that I have this free artist website checklist. Please feel free to download it, because there's a lot that you can just see what you have on your artist website, what you need to consider, and just go through that checklist through your website. So you can go to sonjasmallhere.com/checklist. It's for you to download. So make sure that you get that. And then last week we looked at the artist story, about me, and there was the question about the About Me page. So if you haven't looked at that, please go and have a look at the replay, and 3 amazing artists tell their stories. And then today we're looking at the navigation. Next week we're going to be looking at elevating your website in such a way that you can bring traffic, getting the visitors onto your website. And then the last in the session of the website month is reviews. We're going to be looking at different artist websites, see what works, what doesn't, and you'll start recognizing different aspects of effective artist websites. I just want to open up the floor before we end the session for questions. Are there any questions now regarding your artist website? Then I'd love to open the floor, and just we can talk about it, because we're all at different places in our journey and have different challenges. We already shared your challenges, but do you have any questions about what we spoke about today or last week, or anything you'd like to talk about regarding artist websites that I can add it to the session in the future? Then please just use the comment area and let me know. So do you have any questions? Please add your URLs also to the comment area so we can have a look. If you're ready for us to watch and to have a look at your artist website, then you can use that space, and we can have a look and learn from one another. And remember, your artist website, it's in the make. You're changing all the time. It's not a static place. It's something that's dynamic. Set a time every month to have a look at your artist website. Make sure the links are working. Make sure that flow of information is there. Make sure it's relevant. Can't tell you how many artist websites I come across, or websites in general, and the news is old. It's like, okay, join my art event from 2018, and it's right there on the homepage. And it doesn't show that you're very interested or very professional. And I know that happens. I've had it happen to me before, that links weren't working, or that the information is not up to date. And I know time flies and we're all busy, but set a certain time, maybe the first Monday of every month. You spend 1 hour on your website and you go through it and you're seeing, is it working? What can I add? What can I tweak? What can I change? Sister says that she needs to look at her website thoroughly. Yeah, always good to know, good to do, and to make those tweaks so it's more effective. Your art deserves it. You spend so much time making your beautiful art, and then you need the best possible representation. And then Heidi says, it's so refreshing to hear that you don't need much info on your site, isn't it? Just keep it simple. and it'll be far more effective. You're going to start reaching your objectives far more effectively. And then Anya says, you mentioned that you should avoid sub-menus. I'm wondering how to divide my portfolio. I'm thinking maybe per year or per type, plain air, or should I have it in groups? The idea that people scroll more now than before. There's no right or wrong for this, Anya, as long as you make it logical. So you're dividing it either by color, by theme, by, she's saying plain air, or this is your still lives or portraits, as long as there's some logical system behind it. And you can, of course, once people get to your latest works or to a gallery, there you can have subdivisions. So you use an image to create a subdivision so that you're bringing people then to the next tabs. It doesn't have to be in your home page. You can mention that you do these things or have it in a block on your home page, but it doesn't have to be all in your menu. Use that as home page space for that. Thanks, Anya. Thanks, Issa, for sharing your URL. And Anya, you'd like to know more about Facebook ads and Instagram and SEO. Good question. I'm not quite sure. Let's see who wrote that. Oh, that's you, Rebecca. Thanks for that. Yeah, I'll make a note and we can talk about that in future sessions. Definitely next week we'll talk more about SEO. Let's see. Well, I see that, like Cesar says, questions will be popping up. Use the Facebook community to ask questions. Also these sessions, please feel free. Keep this conversation going all about your artist website. Thanks, guys, so much for joining me for the session. Hope you feel inspired and that you see what's possible for your art website. And I'll be seeing you in the next session next week, all about elevating, getting people onto your website. So have a good week, and I'll see you in the next session. Bye, guys.